Today we are especially aware of the passing of time, that we only have so much time on this earth. Someone once said, "I shall pass through this life but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, let me do it now. Let me not neglect it or defer it, for I shall never pass this way again." I think that might be a good motto for Jerry Jasper's life. Any good that I can do, let me do it now. Jerry's life came full circle when he and Catherine moved back to Potlatch and built their house there on the beach, because Jerry grew up as a boy just a few doors down from that house. And Jerry spent some logging time in the logging camps as a kid. His dad built roads for the logging company. So he was a local boy, a native son to this place. He liked to be out on the water. He liked to be out in the woods. Jerry was a middle child. He had an older sister, Barbara, and a younger sister, Louise. And I think that being the brother of two sisters might have had something to do with him being such a caring person and knowing how to care for others. Because all his life he was most comfortable when he was helping people. He seemed to learn from an early age, any good that I can do, let me do it now. After Jerry graduated from Shelton High School, he joined the Navy, and then after that he moved to Reno, Nevada, where his sister Louise was. He worked a number of jobs, and then when Louise and her family moved to Anchorage, Jerry and his family also moved to Anchorage, and eventually found work with the state of Alaska, and he thrived in that work. Jerry was really good with people. He had good people skills. And I think that helped him a lot in his career with the state. When he and Catherine got married, it was just natural for Jerry to be able to deal with a blended family. And he just naturally fell into that. He coached the kids in basketball and baseball, and he just volunteered for things. It's one of the things that attracted Catherine to him. When he retired from the state of Alaska, he and Catherine moved to Oregon to help take care of Catherine's mother, who by all accounts was somewhat of a cantankerous person. But no problem. Jerry was always just patient and kind and caring, and seemed to just thrive in that role. And when Jerry and Catherine built their house in Potlatch, Jerry came back sort of to the beginning of his life. And he volunteered in all kinds of things here. He was a volunteer, and very important here in the life of St. Germain's. He was part of the Lions Club, part of the food bank. He helped organize all kinds of activities like the polar bear plunge and food drives, the pumpkin patch booth, highway cleanup, fixing people's houses. Jerry just cared about people, and he loved working with people. If he got a new tool, he always kept the old one. He said, well, somebody might need it. And he would find somebody that he could give that tool to. He was patient, he was calm, never got angry. He was always ready to help other people. Any good that I can do, let me do it now. When I think of Jerry, I think of that parable that Jesus told about the sheep and the goats. Jesus said that at the end of the age, he would gather all the peoples together, and he would separate the peoples out between the sheep and the goats. And the sheep would be at his right hand. And he would say to them, "Come, O blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom that your Father has prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. And the sheep who are gathered, they'll say, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and we gave you something to eat? When was it that we saw you thirsty and we gave you something to drink? When was it that you were a stranger and we welcomed you? Or sick or in prison and we visited you? And Jesus will say, when you did it to one of the least of these of my family, you did it to me. Jerry cared about people. He was one of those that Jesus was talking about. I know he could be gruff, he could be stubborn, he could be independent. But when it came down to it, he was a helper. And I know God has a special place for him in heaven. In the gospel lesson that Catherine chose for this service, Jesus says, everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and anyone who comes to me, I will never drive away. And to me, that is the supreme expression of faith. Everything that the Father has for me will come to me. In other words, God's will be done, and I don't have to worry or be anxious no matter what happens. God is there with me. God's going to take care of me. Everything the Father has for me will come to me. So we don't have to worry about Jerry, because we know he is in the hands of God. Jesus goes on to say, anyone who comes to me, I will never drive away. The first and most important quality of God is mercy. And so we offer Jerry into the hands of God, knowing that God will receive him into his arms of mercy and raise him up on the last day. Amen. Amen. Now we have chances. Jeff, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right. We'll hear from Jeff and we'll hear from Jim.
I think Bill.
Yeah, but I'm sure. Yeah, there's right there. You just have to the side.
Yeah, Bill did a great job there. So he mentioned many things. So I'll just chop off the first part. Thank you, Bill. I'm Jeff, Jerry's son, and I had the pleasure to be his son for many years. He's a great man. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As you all know and you've all experienced in your own ways, like Bill said, he was a coach, a mentor, a giver of his time and everything that that he could give. He did. He was great, but I also I was also helping him by teaching him patience. In my own way, I guess. We also played cribbage and tennis, and he always played the win. He didn't ever give up. Chess. He loved to challenge, but most of our favorite time was golfing or house projects. After a while, we learned we weren't very good at golf, so we stopped keeping score because there was no reason to keep score when I was off in the woods trying to find the ball. Kayaking, he helped paint my house, I helped paint his house, we do stuff like that together. It was a lot of work projects and resting. After a while, Jim and his family bought us a portal video conference thing, and we started doing wood carving every other Friday. So I had every other Friday off, and we would wood carve over video anywhere from a couple hours to all day. And if any of you have seen Jerry relax, he likes to take naps. So he'd fall asleep on the table. Just like you're sitting there in the room with him, and he would visit with us and do our wood carving. And that was great to spend all that time. Because we're so separate, living in a different state, and it was hard to get down here. It was great to have that extra time with him. So thank you, Jim and family, for giving that gift. We didn't even think about it at the time, and it turned out to be God sent it, so that's awesome. So, yeah, he was, like I said, generous with his time and gave it to everybody. He played many roles to many people, and yeah, I'll miss him, but I'll do my best to carry forward the goodness that he gave to everybody. So, thank you.
I promise you, Robin, those tears will turn to tears of joy. Well, I was gonna just kind of speak from the heart, not really say anything. I'm Jim, by the way. I'm his stepson, and his son. And then this morning I chickened out. And wrote a bunch of notes on my wife's little handy pad here. And then, gosh, everything that everybody said is all been what I wrote down. So I guess I'm going to go back to just kind of winging it from my heart. Jerry, he was a coach. He was a father, grandfather, husband. He was a servant. Jerry was all of these things just embodied into one amazing man. You know, the theme that keeps coming back is the time and giving of your time. And I think that time is the most precious gift anyone can give. And while many parents were dropping their kids off at practice, Jerry was there coaching their kids. He was giving to those kids, giving back to them, making a difference in their lives. And this is where he came into my life. It was Jeff and I were on a basketball team, I don't know, in 4th grade maybe, somewhere in there, 3rd, 4th grade. And he was our coach, and I remember he had this handlebar mustache, and couldn't figure out how he got those white and oh my goodness. But he could blow a whistle, and he could get after us a little bit too, so it was fun. He was a giver of his time, and he was amazing as a coach. I remember, not just in sports, I can remember when Jeff had some money and bought a motorcycle, a little ADCC motorcycle, and Jerry was going to teach him how to ride it. And so we got on there, and it took Jeff a while. He couldn't get the clutch and the gas at the same time, just kept stalling. Finally, he gets that thing going. And he's going through the neighborhood, and all we hear is, wah! Here's Jerry chasing after me, shift gears, shift gears. What? No idea how to shift gears. That's a true story. I mean,
Thanks, Jim.
I eventually learned. That was a good eventually learned how to shift gears. Jerry was a father. And it's not easy to be a father of a blended family. It's just not. But he came in full force, and he was amazing in that role. As a father, he made sure we had what we needed. I never wanted for anything. It didn't matter whether it was clothes for school, it was new shoes for football, because we grew, apparently. Not that I had kids. Those were still good. Yeah, they don't fit that. He always was there for us, getting us, and I think to some extent, and I tell my kids this, you don't appreciate your parents until you become a parent, right? You just don't understand how much time it takes to make sure they're fed before practice, they get to their practice on time, they get home, they get to their games, they get their homework done. All of that time, he always had that time for us. He was always there. I never missed a practice. I never missed a game. I never missed anything. He made sure that we were there. He was amazing as far as just always being willing to give of his time. He had an immense amount of patience. And I know that because I tried them. And I think Jeff did his as well. I remember once, he was teaching me how to drive. I might have been 13, 12, or 13. It was Alaska. We started out young in Alaska. And he had this, he liked to keep things, he liked to keep his vehicles. He had this old purple Ford F-150 pickup truck, 5-speed, 4-speed, they didn't make 5 speeds back then, 4-speed. And I barely fit to touch the pedals. We lived in a neighborhood that was just dirt roads, potholes, that type of thing. And like Jeff, I couldn't get this thing out of first gear. I got it going, driving through the neighborhood, and as we'd hit a pothole, and the suspension on this was horrible. Horrible. It would throw us up and down, I could barely, and I'd hit that gas, and man, he was calm and collected the entire time, and I figured it out. Figured out how to drive that old Ford pickup. It was an interesting time, for sure. You know, him being a father and him being there for all of our life events, it didn't stop when he became a grandfather. I know he was there when Brown was born. He was there for Adrian. He came to all of Adrian's games. Anybody that knew Jerry knew that he liked to sharpen knives. When he came to your house, he left. Every knife in your drawer was sharpened. Well, at one point, I was working and Jerry was down and Adrian had to go to soccer practice. Don't cry, you're gonna make me cry. And Jerry's got a lot of Alaskan in him. I mean, he was born here and he finished here, but he was all Alaskan to me. And he's walking up and down the sidelines while he's practicing soccer, sharpening a hunting knife. And the entire team's looking on. That's just my papa, she said. You know, that was him. He was there every time they had an event. And you know, he didn't have to be. He didn't. But he was. And that's what's important. Maybe one of the best gifts that he gave to me was how he was a husband to my mom. I didn't think I'd get emotional here, but he was an example of what it was to be a husband. I'm on my second go of it, but that's not Jerry's fault, I promise. But he was amazing. He loved Mom.
He did.
Absolutely loved Mom. He adored her. He was her best friend, and clearly was her best friend. He respected her. He supported her in everything she did. He put up with us kids. He was her emotional pillar strength at the end of the day. He really was. He was there through thick and thin. He was there at all of her surgeries. She had a few. And if you throw me in there, he was at most of my surgeries as well. Between us, I think we would have built a wing of a hospital.
I think I hear him now saying enough.
And I can tell you, neither Mom or I were really easy to deal with when we were on medication. So he was certainly a saint when it came to that. You know, I think the best way I can put it when you talk about him as a husband, and the highest compliment I can give is he's the kind of husband I would want for my daughters. And I hope that that's where they end up. You know, finally, and we've heard this a lot, Jerry was a servant. Everyone that he encountered in life, he tried to help in one way or the other. From the time when he was in youth athletics and he volunteered to be, treasurer, president of the Little League, and he did, he gave back, and he was fundraisers to the point, to the polar bear plunge, to the hamburgers of the pumpkin patch, to this church, and what he put into this church to make it function. He was selfless, and it was, I think a few weeks, maybe a month or so before he passed, Jerry was out with the Lions Club, And they had made a plan to pick up trash alongside the road. And a couple people didn't show up. So instead of Jerry just doing his small section that he had planned out, he ended up doing 2 miles of road. Jerry's 80 years old. When I'm 80 years old, I hope to make it to the bathroom and back around. Jerry's up and down 2 miles of road, and it's because and it exemplifies who he was. He was giving, there was nothing in it for him. There was nothing. He did it to help out the community, help the people around him, and give back. We were all truly blessed to have Jerry in our lives. We really were. And, you know, Jerry, you will always be in our hearts. Rest in peace.